So take a breath, lean in, and get ready. This is the My New Norm podcast.
I'm excited that you're here. Greg Mustard is a leader's leader, executive coach type, pastor of pastors, leader of leader, and most recently wrote a book that we're going to talk about today. So, Craig, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, I'm excited to be here. And yes, like you said, sometimes when our schedules get this busy, finding a common thing to work on together
Exactly.
Gives us space to hang out.
It does.
Yeah, it's this is fun. This is the good stuff.
Even if I don't release this episode, we had a time to get together. So
Yeah, exactly.
You and I will watch it.
That's right.
I would say that more than most of us spend most of our lives trying to escape darkness, trying to escape challenges. But we're going to find out today that the darkness in our life and the challenges, they're not the enemy. Many times God will use those challenges and the place of darkness to create and expose a new thing that he's doing in our life. So I am so excited that we're going to talk about that place that God designs uniquely to us. So right before we get into all of that, I want to know a little bit about you. I don't know much about your growing up. We met in San Diego when we were quite older. But what are some of the things that you went through as a kid that have definitely made you who you are today?
Yeah, I'm a pastor's kid. My dad is a pastor, or was a pastor in Northern California. So I was born way up in Humboldt County. You have some friends up there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was born in Fortuna. And my dad was a pastor in Fortuna. And so I was raised seeing firsthand what it looked like to have an amazing community of people that really cared about each other, that also was pursuing God in a real way and seeing the supernatural on a pretty consistent basis. And but it was amazing. Those younger years of me seeing the combination and people's lives being transformed through actual love. And I think that spurred me, if you will. It gave me a benchmark of what was possible with a group of people that really didn't want just to see power, but also wanted to love well and was radically surrendered to truth, the seeking truth. And
Wow.
so when you have those three strands, power, truth, and love, and it's something very different than when you're only trying to pick one. That was a big one for me. So even, the title of your podcast, My New Norm, I think has to do with those three strands coming together. It's a new normal that's not based on one thing. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
So I think that benchmark had more to do. That first 5 or 6 years is crazy how formative that can be. And so by the time, we traveled different places, my dad continued to pastor, I had this insatiable hunger to help people, even in second grade, third grade. I remember having the thought, so much is given to me, because I got to listen. I would eavesdrop on staff meetings. My dad would have the staff over every Sunday night after church. And I would sit there and rub his back just so I could eavesdrop on how they handled situations and how they helped people. I was so curious about, how do we see people live out the best version of themselves, right?
Yeah.
How do we see them really become who they're designed to be? And that stuck with me. my dad would ask me questions with my friends at school. Why do you think they're acting this way? Because they're lashing out. Do you know what's going on at their home? Because they were being mean. Something was going on. Dad,
Yeah.
they're frustrating me. And he would ask the very practical questions. Well, what's going on in their life?
Mhm.
And so I grew up with the hunger for that. And that led me into the people helping business for the last now over 30 years, whether it's uh, children's pastor, worship pastor, executive coach, team coach, business coach. It really has centered around I love seeing people the way they were designed
Mhm.
and then helping their life reflect that. I
Wow.
love that. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And I think that's what formed me the most, is just me coming to realize, oh, I'm going to do that everywhere I go. No matter where I'm at,
Mhm.
I'm going to help people discover who they are and then unleash them into a lifestyle that reflects who they are. And
Ah,
that's what brings me to life the most. So
yeah.
it's I've done multiple things and been called multiple things, and through the years, I'm 53 now, and I've served in multiple different levels within organizations and within churches, and have my own LLC as a coaching business. But they all point to the same thing:
Yeah.
seeing people for who they really are and unleashing them into a lifestyle that reflects that. Actually, my book, of all things, it's been translated into Spanish but not finished, but it was translated into Urdu. So I had
Urdu?
somebody from Pakistan got a hold of my
Oh
book
my.
and translated it. And so it's in Urdu right now. It was handed out to many, many leaders. I think it's over 1,000 copies sent to
Oh,
leaders in Pakistan. You just never know, right? In this
right.
story, you're just, you know, relaxing, just
Yeah.
working on the thing right in front of you.
Yeah.
And then somebody gets a hold of it and saying, hey, do you mind if I translate this? And so we got it translated, and yeah, that's fun. That's fun to watch that kind of stuff happen.
Man, so once you released it, it has a life of its own, and
That's right.
that's what you're talking about. It's fun to
Yeah.
watch.
Yeah,
Uh,
it is.
um, give us the title of your book, and basically, we're going to talk about it. But what type of book is it, and who is it for?
Yeah. So the title is Plunder Darkness. And I really wrote it more as a journal experience for the
Okay.
curious and for those that are already a part of the faith. There seems to be a pretty stark divide between what people consider faith or religion and practical living. And there is this divide of being stuck in our heads concerning what we say we believe, but then our lifestyle seems to be void of substance, void of actual fulfilling or fulfilled living,
Mm.
meaningful life that reflects what we say we believe. And I really wrote this book. It got spurred 15 years ago, 16 years ago. I didn't write it until 2020, but the concept came out of one of the darkest moments of my life, and about 16 years ago. And I had experienced deep rejection, a financial collapse,
Mm.
and great failure in the world that I was in. Meaning, I wasn't seeing a lot of success. It wasn't a moral failure. It wasn't a character failure. It was a success failure. It
Mm-hmm.
was I wasn't seeing things grow that I wanted the way I wanted them to. It was going the opposite direction, and I felt completely isolated,
Mm.
completely alone. And really, what happened, Barry, was a lot of places that I had not fully processed grief, had not fully processed disappointment, had not fully processed
Mm-hmm.
sadness, hurt, rejection, anger, fear, all of those things, loneliness,
Yeah.
I hadn't processed. I really just grabbed a hold of the next thing to get to the next thing so that I wouldn't have to. I was terrified of my inner world in silence. So solitude was not my friend, and it crashed. So it wasn't necessarily what happened in 2010 and that sparked it, but it was years of burying what I was going through and attempting to get over it by just grabbing the next mission. I'm a very mission guy. And so I was in that process, and I had a complete adrenal collapse. My adrenal glands were shot. So I would all of a sudden start sweating in the middle of the day. My heart would start racing. I would start to almost pass out. And I thought I was losing my mind. It was scary. And that was happening for quite a while. And I remember calling a friend of mine, and he said, you know what your problem is, Craig? I said, no, what? He said, you are carrying all of your baggage everywhere, and you're looking for Jesus. And you fail to realize that Jesus is sitting in your baggage to meet you there. It's all my loneliness, all my fear, all my anger, all the terrors. He was going to meet me there.
You know, Craig, what you have described is the life of a leader. And yet it doesn't have to be that way. But unfortunately, the case is that the leader tends to isolate. Many times, like you said, the Lord's there, but he's waiting to go, hello, can I help? Because we figure we're called to this, so we have to do it. But he called us to do it with him. It's like John 15. It's abiding, and we miss out because we're trying to do it. I remember someone had told me that the problem with ministry is that we can learn how to do it.
Yes.
And we do. And we're left with frustration, confusion, all the stuff that you just said, because we're trying to do it ourselves. Let me ask you, you had mentioned fatigue or adrenaline exhaustion. That's a real thing. And isn't that caused by ongoing stress? You're in a state of stress for too long, and you weren't created to ride with that, and it wears you out completely. And it doesn't just take a weekend to say, good, I'm fine. It takes months.
Years.
Yeah. Okay.
It takes years.
Talk to us about that a bit.
So the fight or flight response that we get when crisis hits, adrenaline rushes through your body, gives you the ability to fight or flight. But elongated seasons where you are in that fight or flight, sustained, ultimately causes your whole adrenal, your endocrine system to crash, which means now your adrenals don't know when to turn on or to turn off, and everything feels like a crisis. So hypervigilance is a big part of it. When you go through pain and you become so aware of everything around you to try to avoid pain at all costs, you're living in a constant fight or flight because you have to be aware of what's possible, because the pain of the last time that it happened was too great. You're not sure if you're going to survive it. So it throws you into this place, right? So resting is scary, because resting means that you're letting go, and the last time you let go, everything fell apart, or that's the way you perceive it. And once your adrenal system collapses to the point it was for me in 2010, and actually I went through a secondary collapse 3 years ago. Um, Once that happens, the first one took me about 2 years to fully recover. It was about a year of intense work, and you learn something through it. You really do. You learn the art of slowing down to the pace of receiving, and slowing down to the pace of wonder. You learn how to slow down because your adrenal glands cannot handle the fight or flight anymore.
Yeah.
And so for some people, like for myself, from a very practical standpoint, what it meant was I would go to sleep at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. And at 3 o'clock in the morning, I would wake up with my body shaking as if somebody was trying to murder me. That's what it felt like. So I'd be shaking in my body like I better run because I'm about to get killed. And it would be an hour and a half of my body shaking and sweating. And I would just have to get up and walk around, calm myself down. And it did that for months on end. And then for a couple of years randomly. And
Like a panic attack.
yes,
Right? Okay.
yes, very similar. And there would be no logical reason for it. 3 o'clock in the morning, every night, an hour, hour and a half.
Yeah.
And so it's very similar to the panic attacks. So your body's literally trying to get ready for a disaster all the time. And that, when you are going through that, you are forced to, one of the things you were just talking about, when we override what we need over and over again to just get the job done.
Right. Push through it.
Yeah. We've been trained to use the fuel of adrenaline. And adrenaline becomes our fuel instead of connection and meaning. And when that happens, we literally we prioritize a mission statement over connection. We prioritize the next assignment over deep relationships. And when we do that, we're the last ones to realize we've been eating artificial food and there's no nutrients to our heart, and we collapse. And it might not be adrenal fatigue, but it will be a collapse. It will be a collapse. It'll collapse of relationship, collapse of marriage, collapse in parenting. There will be a collapse.
It shows up in every part of our life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at the same time, this is all going on. You're in leadership, you're pastoring, you're in relationship, you're a father, you're a husband. You're still walking through days, weeks, and months of responsibility.
100%.
Oh, my word.
That was probably the greatest gift that I was given. Because if all the responsibility would have been taken off my shoulders, I would have had the thought that the only way to be free was to not have the responsibility.
Good point.
I'm not saying there aren't times for sabbaticals and times for breaks. I believe that. But what I needed in the time was to learn a different way to hold the responsibility.
Different rhythm.
Yep. I had to change the way I thought about my responsibility. I had to shift how I was carrying it. Because sometimes we're carrying the right thing the wrong way. And so we think, I got to let go of that responsibility. Well, no, that's marriage. You're not going to let go of that.
Right.
No, that's being a father. You're not going to let go of that. Oh, okay. I'm carrying the right thing the wrong way, not just the wrong thing.
Good point.
And there is a place for us to have perception, if you will. We need to perceive sometimes we're carrying the wrong thing.
Yeah.
But what I found in my own life is oftentimes I'm carrying the right thing because I have that non-negotiable in place. This is something I am to carry, but I haven't learned how to carry it appropriately. Like when you see the construction workers carrying sheetrock, if you've ever done sheetrock, and when you first get on the job and you're carrying it and it's killing you, and then you're seeing somebody else who's been carrying it for a couple of years, and the angle they're carrying it with, the way they're carrying it, they can carry twice as heavy and it doesn't hurt them at all because of their technique.
And they're doing that all day when
All
you're
day.
ready to pass out in 10 minutes.
That's right.
You
That's
know?
right. That's right. That's right. So I found that to be, for me, it was a gift that I stayed. Now I was required to do what? I was required to rely on the team a lot more than I've been relying on them. I was required to prepare, even my sermons, I had to prepare them different. I couldn't carry the whole weight of everything falls on me this next Sunday. I had to let go of being the center of my own world, which was really good for me.
Oh my. You had mentioned at the beginning that what we believe or think we believe has to show up in our lives in a practical way, or else the belief is of no good. It's the difference between head knowledge and experiential knowledge. And it sounds to me that what you went through was bringing what you know and your belief down to walking it out and experiencing it. Ultimately, that's what happened to you.
100%. And Colossians says that, Colossians chapter 1, all things hold together in Jesus. He holds all things together, things seen or unseen, temporal or eternal. And you can say that in your theologically, you can agree with that statement, but I had to experience that. And in a place I couldn't hold myself together. I couldn't hold my family together. I couldn't hold the church together. I couldn't hold even my mind together. I couldn't hold any of it. And he invited me, you brought it up, John 15. He invited me to abide in him. He invited me to go and be with him as he held it together. And that I love studying. I love studying theology. I love studying the Bible. I love studying people. But I love theology when it's practical. I love practical theology. I don't want to just learn about God. I want to experience God. I don't want to just learn about the truths of the Bible. I want to experience the truths of the Bible. I want to experience that, and I want to be that bridge that invites other people to experience this very real living God that's nuts and bolts in our daily life, who knows how to hold things together when we don't have a clue what we're doing. And that's worth getting up in the morning.
Yeah.
The other stuff of just studying for studying's sake, I'm thinking, why would I want to study something? Why would I want to read an encyclopedia about, about Paris when I could go and experience Paris? I want to be there. Right. I want to be there. I want to experience it.
Plus, you can buy the shirt too.
Exactly. Exactly. And then once you have the shirt, you're legit.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be right back.
This is Barry Scott Young, your host on the My New Norm podcast.
It was 32 years ago. I remember it like yesterday. We were on a project, and I get the call on the radio that, Donnie's down. and I show up, and the EMTs there just took over from our crew, are both the same age, both expecting our first daughters. She clearly did not get the opportunity to meet her dad. His life flight touched down and took off again, and it was my job to go back and tell the crew that I was in charge of a young project manager, that he hadn't made it. And I said, if I continue to be in this industry, that could never happen again. Prior to that day, I was a young, go-getting project manager who thought they knew it all.
Yeah.
After that day, I realized I knew nothing, and I had so much to learn. And so from there on, I really went on a life quest to figure out not only what I needed to learn from my industry to prevent mishaps and issues. I ultimately found out what I was learning helps prevent issues and mishaps and problems in our personal life. They're the same tools. I realized, hey, this is great. And that was one of the motivations of the book, was the tools that I learned how to use to help Fortune 500 clients now. It's on some of the largest, most dangerous demolition projects in the world, are the same tools and resources that we can use every day.
You can listen to Tim Parker's story, Season 6, Episode 1, on the My New Norm podcast. Hey, thanks for listening to this podcast. Hey, did you know that you can choose between audio and video formats? Well, you can. Check out the video episodes on Spotify and YouTube. And audio, well, you'll find those on all of your major platforms as well. And now, back to the episode. Follow, listen, and share with those you know. Well, it's a lot like the difference between doing and being. There's so much that we are doing, especially in leadership, and the Lord really wants us to be present, and our being is really allowing Him to walk it out through us. Doing and being. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. 100%.
Well, you and I have coached a lot of people, and it is very true that most people realize they need to change, but the real change comes when the pain is so great that they can't live without the change.
Yes.
And the pain that you went through kind of forced you to deal with this. That wasn't a shortcut, but God provided what you needed every step along the way. And now on the other side of this, you can write a book and you can share your experience to help encourage others that are in the middle of this and don't even know it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that really was, I didn't teach on matters of the heart for about 3 years after in this process. And my wife finally said, when are you going to start teaching this? Because of course I was still preaching every Sunday and out of the word, but I wasn't teaching on this. I said, well, I'm still getting it down. It's only been 3 years. She said, hey, you need to start sharing. But, and that was 2013. And it was another almost 8 years before I wrote the book. But the book was, I have a client who was asking me, how do you read the Bible in a way that matters? And I thought about it. I was like, there's multiple ways to do this. And speaking to the curious out there that are just curious about whether God's real or not, or maybe those who have already come to that conclusion, hey, yeah, but the Bible is full of stories. Theology in a nutshell is the study of God Himself, but there's no help to us of who He is not inserted into our story. So we have to come to grips with our own stories. We have to come to grips with our own lives. We have to come to grips with the good, the bad, and the ugly before any of it matters. Otherwise, it's just some God out there that loves us who's powerful, who forgave us. But
Mhm.
why does that matter to us until it gets inserted into our story? And really, that's when I wrote the book. I took two of the stories of the Bible, the woman at the well, which found in John chapter 4, and the story of Joseph the dreamer found in Genesis chapter 37, and then forward about 12 chapters. And I simply brought out their story and how the darkness in their own lives is what there was treasure hidden in the darkness of their own lives. It wasn't just found in the cute answers and the things that we would just be trite about and just hashtag this and hashtag that. No, it was found, the treasure was found in the muddy, the grimy, the brokenhearted. With the woman at the well, it was found in when Jesus says, hey, bring your husband back and we'll talk. And she say, hey, I'm not even married. He said, I know you've been married 5 times and the man you're living with isn't even your husband. You're not even married to him. And it was in that process of her being real about her story that when she later goes to tell everybody about him, she tells everybody, he told me all about my story. He looked into my mess. He looked into the brokenness of where I've been. And there was no shame in his eyes towards me. There was no fear of what I'd gone through. There was nothing but love for me. That's what broke her. Was her story. And you see Joseph in the same way, having a dream and his dream being from God that one day his family would bow to him. And I imagine he had these lofty thoughts of where this would happen and how it would happen. But he went through an intense brokenness. And his story was fulfilled through the brokenness, not in spite of it.
But it's because he walked through the brokenness that he was able to withstand the fulfillment of the dream.
That's right.
What he went through in the process gave him the strength to experience it and to stand in it.
Yes.
Without it, it was just a dream.
It was just a dream. And he had the right dream, but he didn't understand the purpose of the dream.
Well, he wasn't ready for the dream.
Well, yeah. And I found like this happens to me a lot because I'll get something and say, oh, this is an amazing dream. But usually I'm the center stage of my own dream. And in his dream, it appeared that he would be center stage to his own dream. So the purpose of the dream is my family bows to me, because that's the dream. He had his family bowed to him. What does that mean? I'm going to be somebody. What does that mean? God's going to use me. I'm going to be important. And the promised land, I imagine he was thinking this is going to happen in the promised land. It's going to happen in it wasn't even known as Israel yet. It was Canaan. It was going to happen there. But no, the dream wasn't even about him. The dream, so he gets sold into slavery, taken to Egypt in a land he doesn't care about, in a place that doesn't matter to him, goes into prison, and there's 13 years of slavery in prison. And you're right, the brokenness that he learned in those 13 years prepared him to become prime minister. But when he became prime minister, that wasn't the fulfillment of the dream.
Yeah, you're right.
The fulfillment of the dream is when his family was about to starve to death and they came back and he was able to save his family, and the restoration of their relationship was the fulfillment of the dream. They bowed before him when he was prime minister, and he was able to save his entire family, going ahead of them, and forgave them. The fulfillment wasn't him being powerful. The fulfillment was him being reconciled to his family. And those are the things that we mess with all the time. We think more powerful position, I'm going to feel so good. When I finally have authority over everyone around me and powerful enough to not let anybody hurt me, I'm going to be in charge. No, the fulfillment of the dreams that mean the most to us have nothing to do with position. They have everything to do with reconciliation, connection, and love.
Ah, you know, as a young leader, I remember praying some big prayers and I was sincere. But when I realized what I needed to go through personally to get those prayers answered, it scared me to death. And yet God will take someone and work with your desires that he put in you, but then he walks you through the places of brokenness and being humbled that he needs to do before he can use you. So be careful
Yes.
what you pray for. I used to say, man, that's a great prayer. Are you ready to be challenged and broken? If you want answers to that prayer, are you willing to absorb the cost of that prayer? To be used by God in a mighty way means that he's going to break you in a mighty way.
Yes. A dream will introduce you to yourself. The you that cannot live without God. So it will deal with any part of our ego that we become self-sufficient, that life is about us, that we're center stage. When we dream accurately, we go back to John 15. We are fruitful out of abiding. When we think the dream is something that we produce, like God handing us a baton, we make the dream about our ego, and then we put a little label on it or a little fish symbol on it and say Jesus hashtag, but it's not about him at all. It's about us. Then we have whatever we birth in our own strength, we have to carry in our own strength and manage in our own strength and finish in our own strength. But dreams are meant to be birthed out of connection to God and to community. And when that happens, you are absolutely right. The breaking process is actually not breaking down who you are. It's breaking off all of who you are not. So the true you comes out.
Good point. Yeah.
It really is. Right?
Yeah.
Like Michelangelo, I saw the angel in the rock and sought to set him free, chiseling away. That really is the breaking. It is not to destroy you, it's to free you from all the false sense of self that you have. Yeah. So that you're abiding in love at a level that you had never experienced before.
Yeah. Yeah. When you were just saying that, I have to say we were probably in the same room at the time. Graham Cook said he was praying. He was, I think, in the UK, and there were these people that followed him everywhere he went. And the purpose of their following was to bug him, to distract him, to get in his face. And he was praying, saying, God, would you take care of these people? And I think finally he realized, no, bless them, because these people have come on assignment to make you better. They're exposing things in you that I don't need and I can't use. Do you remember that?
Of course.
And
yes.
So he's reversed his prayer and he said, Lord, bless him,
Yeah.
So that's amazing. Well, I would surely think that since you went through this, you probably noticed two things for sure. One is during your metamorphosis, you realized the things you thought were important weren't. And two, how you used your time changed and what you did with your time changed, and it became very intentional. What'd you talk in regards to those two things?
Yeah. The two things, meaning how I use my time.
Time and the things now that are important that you thought were not quite as important before.
Yeah. Success was important before. significance is important now. And the difference between that is success is only measured by external achievement. Significance is measured by the depth of meaning that you live. And meaning is only found, the level of meaning you have in life is directly correlated to your willingness to sacrifice. So meaning is connected directly to sacrifice. Whatever you are willing to sacrifice for is what you're saying is really meaningful. So value comes through your choice to sacrifice for something that's greater than yourself or someone. And meaning comes through that. And that was one of my biggest shifts, because success, you could actually be successful with your skill set and your gift mix. And I'll break that down. Your skill set is what you've learned to do. Your gift mix is what you were born with that you didn't learn to do at all. You've maybe increased your capacity to it, but it's something you do without thinking, and you wonder why other people can't. But your skill set, you learn through repetition. Well, you can use your skill set and your gift mix to be successful, but none of that really attached to meaning. None of it attached to something you're willing to sacrifice for that's greater than you simply looking good, a facade, if you will. Your appearance becomes more important than anything else when success is it. And one of my favorite quotes of all time is Miles Monroe. He said, "The greatest failure in life is being successful in the wrong assignment."
Oh.
So what I found is I was really good at being successful in things with my gifts and my skills, but I was maybe 3 or 4 shades off from what was really me. And I hid behind success, because for me to show up in what I really wanted to do meant I could be rejected. It meant I was going to have to sacrifice my comfort. I was going to have to sacrifice the applause of other people. I was going to have to sacrifice my own ego. And that was the trade. But when you're brought to nothing in a place of brokenness, and you're given the choice of still holding on to success or going into a life that's worth dying for, that's an easy choice. I'd rather live for something that's worth dying for than survive a life that's an inch deep and slowly die from starvation, living a life of meaninglessness and futility, all in the name of success.
Oh my. Well said, and most needed, what you just said there. Well, Craig, if you could just zero in, I believe there's a lot of leaders that can identify with this content, and there might be some realizing as they're listening, this is where I'm at. Am I willing to pursue the process now and be metamorphosized, become on the outside what I am on the inside, head knowledge versus experience? Would you aim an encouragement to those leaders, especially that need what we have been talking about?
Most definitely. My privilege. I would say this, as leaders, we are discovering our calling. It's a lifelong discovery in some ways. And oftentimes we misinterpret what we're doing as our calling, when really what we're doing is our assignment that is supposed to be a vehicle to fulfill our calling. The calling is who you are. It's your identity and constant expression. There's integrity between who you are and your actions. That's calling. An assignment is what you're currently doing. And so part of the challenge we have as leaders is, to Miles Monroe's quote, the greatest failure in life is being successful in the wrong assignment. is that we are scared to death of our calling because our calling is often shrouded in our pain. It is often the place that we've been wounded the deepest, that we felt the most rejection, and we're terrified to go there. And so we fall back on our haunches and we settle for something that looks really successful to the people around us, but we were not born to live that out. Yeah. I want to encourage you now that if you are dying on the vine slowly, just die more quickly. Get over it. Realize that no matter what you do, you're going to be in pain. Make sure the pain is worth it. You cannot choose pain avoidance and love at the same time. You have to prioritize one or the other. Love, you will still experience pain, but it will be worth it. Pain avoidance, you will still experience pain, but you'll go numb and you'll shut down, and it's not worth it. So I want to encourage you, and if I could stand in front of you right now, I would speak to you to wake up. Remember what you were born for. Shake off the dust and forget about your fear of pain. Dive headlong into your calling, even if it's shrouded in your deepest memories of pain, because that's where you're going to get restored in your soul. When you stop avoiding it and start pushing into it. Don't go alone. Go with trusted people who have navigated that journey before that can be with you in it. Find a tribe that champions your calling, not just your success, that champions who you are, not just what you're trying to appear to be, that isn't afraid of your worst mistakes, will call out your greatest places inside of you in the midst of your worst mistakes. Find that tribe and plug in. And then don't lose sight of what you're capable of in your brokenness. Don't lose sight that you weren't born to live a life of safety. You were born to live a life of fullness. And if you do that, you will find your calling in the one place you've been avoiding. You'll find it in your pain. You'll feel alive again. And now the pain will have purpose. And when that happens, everything shifts. Your ability to love other people increases dramatically because you're receiving love. You're present in your relationships. You're not hiding behind success. And you're able to pass that on to your children and say, my life is worth following. Not because you have millions of dollars, but because you've chosen to live a life connected to your heart, submitted to something greater than you, and sacrificing for the people you really love. That's the life worth living.
Thank you so much for sharing. Would you tell us about your book and how to get it, and maybe just a little snapshot of what they're getting when they get the book?
Yeah. The book you can find on Amazon. It's Plunder Darkness. And so straight Amazon's the only place you can get it right now. Really, it's a 21-day journal. So each day is only maybe a page, 2 pages at the most to read. I really condensed it. It's thought-provoking. It's intended to get you to think. And then there's a question at the end of every chapter for you to journal. And the intention is that you would get caught up in communing with your own heart. This is where God meets us. He meets us in our hearts. And so when we're connected to our own hearts, which happens in solitude, it happens when we can get to those places of knowing ourselves, these questions are intended to do that. And in that conversation with yourself, that is my heart, that you would find yourself beginning to talk to God, and that you would begin to hear him speaking back to you in those deepest parts of your heart. And that's really what the book is about, 21 days of that. And I encourage you to read it in groups, read it. I've done this in masterminds with several people at the same time, so you can break it down in parts that you're thinking, this doesn't make sense to me. What do you think this is about? That's the kind of curiosity that allows us to go deeper, ask questions that we're not afraid to ask, and see where God will meet us as we're in our journey. Instead of dragging our baggage around trying to find God, let's find him in the midst of our baggage.
It would be great for staff to go through this and those workers that you work with, or even family, whatever whatever it takes for you to get into this book. It sounds like a good thing. Well, I couldn't help but think my overall picture of us talking today is when we are behind the steering wheel of life or leadership, we have a dashboard and God's trying to get our attention. And as we're driving every day, these warning lights come on, low oil, low water, alignment, engine failure, all these things light up the dashboard. And unfortunately, we go, oh, I don't see anything. I'm used to that warning going off, that sound, that light, and we avoid it. And what we need more than avoidance is awareness to say, this is where I'm at. And if I avoid this and don't deal with this, it's going to be a total wreck. God can work with a total wreck better than us avoiding the climax of these things.
Absolutely.
But I just want to say thank you for taking the time to talk about darkness, that one of those things we don't talk about, but you've taken the time to talk about it. And by that, you're showing us that there's something worth reclaiming here. For everyone listening, don't rush past this conversation. Sit with it. Order the book, because sometimes the work you're avoiding is the work that will set you free. Craig,
Very well said.
Thank you for being here today. And I want to also give them your website if they want to pursue what you do with coaching or whatever the things that you have on the site. What is that personal site?
Craig Muster, CraigMuster.com. So it's CraigMuster.com. Very simple. And there's a place for, if you're wanting to hire me as a coach, there's a 15-minute consult, absolutely free. You just fill out the paperwork and I'll get back to you on that. But I do masterminds, I do group team coaching for businesses. That's a lot of what I do. And then I do some one-on-one executive coaching as well.
Well, my friend, run long and run hard. I so enjoyed this conversation today. Let's put together a conference or an event so we can see each other again.
That sounds great. That sounds great.
Greg, I love you. Thanks for coming on today.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for listening to the My New Norm podcast. I'm your host, Barry Scott Young.
And this is your new norm.